This video is brought to you by Robinhood, the investment brokerage app that lets you buy stocks, ETFs, and cryptocurrencies, all commission free. The gains have just gotten ridiculous at this point. Even I think that this is crazy. Chinese coffee stock up 45%. Yeah, I guess I'll take those gains. Look, click the link in the description below to download Robinhood and get your absolutely free stock and start cashing in on these gains because apparently the stock market is on rookie mode right now. What's up YouTube, Capital G here. Got some interesting duels for you guys to check out, including some JoJo dominance. It looks like this madman is actually playing some of the new JoJo cards and actually using some of the old ones like JoJo Lord, which I would never play this thing, but hey, more power to him. He's only running one copy, so I guess it's not that bad. This first duel actually shows you a situation where JoJo can dominate, and I did say, although the new support really isn't all that good, it doesn't make JoJo competitive in my opinion. There are certain situations in which you can dominate, mainly if your opponent is playing a deck with a lot of traps like Paleo or Altergeist, or if they're playing just a few traps and they happen to open with them. Powerful things like Solemn Judgment and maybe even Infinite Impermanence. If your opponent opens with those cards, JoJo can do work. So you see the Shadow player opening with a pretty conservative play of Hedgehog sets, but he has 2 copies of Red Shadow Incarnation, and JoJo can lock those down. And once you get JoJo on board, I mean, your opponent doesn't have an opportunity to activate those trap cards anymore. They are just locked. He's going to activate the Effect Veiler, but it does not matter. He's going to activate Law of the Cosmos, and some of these cards are aired, but I mean, we know what these cards do. He's going to activate Law of the Cosmos, which gives his opponent a trap card, but also gets him a JoJo out from his deck. And now that just means that doesn't matter if you got those 3 trap cards. The JoJo is online. Another thing that makes this matchup kind of cool is JoJo doesn't really use the extra deck. You guys saw the Extravagance as the first card played, which I would be running if I was running JoJo. I mean, really outside of like rank 6s, what are you actually summoning? And now you just kind of want to go beatdown mode. He's going to summoning my favorite character from JoJo's Bizarre Adventure, the menacing JoJo. And he's just going to go into straight beatdown. Shadows generally need their opponent to go into the extra deck to make advantage off things like Shadow Fusion. And when you don't go into the extra deck, because, well, you know your opponent has the Shadow Fusion, they don't really get much value out of it. Now you can see JoJo can do a lot of damage. Menacing JoJo going to take out all that back row, so it doesn't even matter that you gave the opponent the free trap card. You just blow it up anyways. This one can be used from the graveyard, so maybe they still get some value out of it, but generally speaking, if you send your opponent's traps to the graveyard, it's just a super big win for you. Anyways, we're going to continue on. He's going to go Mathematician. This is kind of cute. He's going to use Mathematician. He's going to use Resh to put Mathematician face down because he's like, Cap, I know my Mathematician's going to get hammered, but if I can not take that damage, I think I'll go ahead and just put this guy in defense mode. I mean, he gets a draw out of it, so yeah, why not just use the Mathematician as, you know, a defensive card to get a draw? This was cheeky. He capitalizes off of him summoning the Falco and decides to activate Heavy Metal Raiders from his deck, which, by the way, that's a core booster set, Metal Raiders, third set, second set, yeah. So he activates Heavy Metal Raiders from his deck, and this makes it so that Dark Machine monsters cannot be destroyed by battle. At least I believe it's the first time. Yeah, the first time they would be destroyed by battle. It'd be really cool if it was card effect as well. It would make this so much better in the JoJo archetype. It actually would just be a JoJo card at that point. So he tries to attack the JoJo because he needs to get these traps online. I believe there's a Solemn Strike down there, but nope, Metal Raiders is going to stop that. He decides to put his Shikanaga face down, and now Menacing JoJo plus Psycho Bounder both coming through, and I feel like this duel is basically going to be over. JoJo getting a little more stats, a couple more attacks, and actually no, just one more attack, and that duel is a wrap. So yeah, you're seeing JoJo basically has to be played as a go second beatdown deck. You want to lock out your opponent's trap cards as quickly as possible, and I mean it's a very matchup specific deck if you ask me. Like, I think that if you're playing against another combo deck, you're probably going to struggle, but if you play against control, you might have a good matchup. Anyways, second duel is going to be Metaphys against Madoche, and oh my god, this is like the most annoying thing ever. Your opponent opens with Aloof Lapine. they activate the effect, and then they banish 2 copies of Necro. What are you doing? What is this cheese, man? We're both gonna lose a quarter of our decks now, and obviously, like, Metaphys want their cards to be banished, and that's just actually no. It's even more than a quarter, because he hit another Necro. This is just some cheese right now. He hits another Necro face, which is like, oh my goodness. He is using some of the new Nemesis cards to recover some of that advantage, which is cool. And if you're a Madoche player, you gotta feel mad about this. You just lost almost a third of, actually pretty much a third of your deck instantaneously, and we know Madoche kind of needs, like, there are a lot of one-ups, maybe like Madoche Chateau that you might not have access to. It's probably in here somewhere. Ticket, Madoche Chateau, both of your power spells have both been banished, so you might not even be able to OTK. Luckily, he did draw that copy of Petting Cessor, but because he lost 15 cards in his deck, I don't know that he'll actually be able to OTK. Now you can see more advantage is being made by the Metaphys player during his opponent's turn, but maybe Petting Cessor can do this because she is technically at most a 1 card plus 11 if I'm not mistaken, so we'll see how much advantage he can recover. I feel like losing out on the Chateau and the Ticket, which are one-ofs in the deck, he now has to see, you can see he's searching things like Salon, he's going to search Promenade. These are not cards that you would want to search if you were going for an OTK. You'd be searching Ticket and Chateau. Anyways, he is going to start spinning. I would probably, well, no, you have to get rid of the scale, but he is going to start spinning monsters eventually. I think he's actually going to make double Tiramisu, and yep, there's a second copy. Spin 2 more monsters. Okay, not bad, but usually you'd be in a position where you'd have an extra, 2,000 attack right here. So you could see that he would have actually gotten close to OTKing, because if he would have had Chateau and Ticket, he would have had minimum of, 500 times 4, an extra 2,000 on field, extra 2,000 damage, leaves his opponent with 1,000 life points. But this is a position that the Metaphys deck can still come back, even though he does have the Promenade, which is, a negation. He's going to use the Promenade on as Metaphys, which I don't know about that. I probably would have used it on Ragnarok, mainly because when Ragnarok does the battle damage, it allows him to summon another Metaphys monster from the deck. You should have used it on Ragnarok, bro. It looks like he wants to summon Tyrant Dragon. Usually you'll see them summon Daedalus, which just banishes like every special summon monster, which would be the Madoche player's entire field. But he's going to go for Tyrant Dragon, who has that double attack and basically mopping the floor with the Madoche monsters. It looks like Madoche is probably going to lose at this point because, again, not half, but a third of the deck was still banished. And then on top of that, you've gone for your full combo and then it did not successfully work. He's going to banish one of those Nemesis monsters, which I'm not exactly sure what that did. And then he is ultimately going to scoop it up. Looks like he had that even bigger boss monster, the Executor. Okay, that was coming down the line, and looks like there wasn't even a need for that. Anyways, if you guys are interested in that Genzo deck, and I had to piece this together a little bit because some of the cards were aired out and I had to put some stuff in here, but this is generally what it's going to look like on paper. You can see Genzo doesn't really have any proactive plays. I'm guessing that you're just running 3-ofs in the deck because you're running Extravagance. I think that 41 could maybe find a spot in here because I'm just thinking about if you go first and you're playing against a deck like Altergeist, or just a deck where like the graveyard doesn't matter. Usually Abyss Dweller is not good in those matchups, so 41 Bagusta is just better. It's not terrible to go into 41 against like certain control decks, like maybe a Guru. What can they do against a 41? You can just sit it on field until you're ready to, pop off and like try to kill them. Interesting, he is really selling out on this field spell package with, Metaverse, Terraforming, 3 copies of Demise of the Land, and then 3 copies of Heavy Metal Raiders. I don't know if it's worth it, honestly, but he feels like it's worth it, so he's going to do it. He's got ways of getting some of those monsters out of the deck with the 3 copies of Summoner Monk. You usually see Summoner Monk be played with I'm used to seeing Summoner Monk and Armageddon Knight because you summon those you summon Armageddon Knight from your deck, you get to drop a monster into the graveyard, and then you still got 2 monsters on field for a rank 4. Same thing with Greffer. It just takes a little more resources to be able to pull it off. Anyways, if you guys are interested in this build. It's more of like an introductory build, so it'll be in the description below. Thank you guys for watching. As always, subscribe if you have not already, and turn on that notification bell for daily videos. And actually, I lied. We're only 20 seconds from 10 minutes, so what the heck. Here's the Metaphys deck if you are interested in that as well. You guys can see that it's half Metaphys and half Arch, or half Nemesis, and this is kind of what I feel like is going to be the blueprint moving forward. I think you can still run a pure Metaphys build. I just don't really see why you wouldn't include at least some of the Nemesis cards. Maybe you don't have to play the, you know, like the super high level ones, which actually, let me just move these guys closer together. You don't have to necessarily run the high level ones, but I would at least run some of the smaller ones. And then things like Aloof Lapine and Necroface, these cards have always kind of popped up into the Metaphys deck because, I mean, this card just has natural synergy with the Metaphys archetype as a whole, and then Aloof Lapine gives you a normal summon or another normal summon because traditionally Metaphys really just have Ragnarok as the main normal summon.